All right, Jesse on Fire, welcome back. So we're going to get right into this video right now because we got a lot of stuff to cover, and I'll just lay it out in advance, okay? We have another episode of the former CIA employee, Sarah Adams. She's been frantically going around on these podcasts to tell us about a coordinated attack that is very, very likely to hit the United States over the next, I don't know. I'll let her talk. So we're going to look at that. We're also going to look at some new information about the Epstein case. Very, very interesting, where the mainstream media is now just straight up being like, it's not true, right? Like the official story is not true. We're talking mainstream media, and I want to show you guys that because I want to tie it to something else, okay? Because all of a sudden, right, we got a lot of stuff done on the Israel and Gaza stuff, and it all coincided with this sudden influx of Epstein news. And given the fact that I saw Tucker Carlson claim that he could confirm 100% that Bibi Netanyahu had been saying to people internationally that he runs Donald Trump and Donald Trump does what he says. And I'm going to show you the timeline between a new report that came out that said that there was about to be an atomic bomb dropped on Donald Trump having related to the Epstein thing. This other story about Ghislaine Maxwell. And then suddenly we have a peace deal. And I think that I can tie connective tissue to all of that would indicate potentially what's been going on. And to be clear about what my implication is that I think that given what Bibi apparently has been telling world leaders, they must think that they have something on Trump. The only thing that I could imagine would be something related to Epstein. And since every single investigator who has talked about this has said that Trump had no wrongdoing as it relates to the Epstein case, I would imagine that it's probably a bluff on Israel's part and that they are floundering because they clearly didn't want a peace deal. Somehow the peace deal got done anyway, but not before suddenly there's this huge influx of Epstein news, right? So I'll get into the details of exactly what I mean in a second. But actually what we're going to do first is I'm going to show you a clip that Alex Jones put up that I watched this morning that I think is critical for everyone to see, because he's talking about where we are internationally between China, World War IV. World War IV is how he characterizes it. So we're going to start right there, and then we're going to get into all of this other stuff. Go ahead, and if you don't mind, I'm handshaking you. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and that is the agreement that we made. That's why I have such an amazing viewer base, because I go, guys, if you're going to watch my content, do you mind please subscribing to the channel? And everybody just does it. You know, I've gained 46,000 subscribers in the last 28 days, okay? That's how amazing my audience is. And please like this video as well. And let's rock and roll right now. Okay, let's watch this.
In Russia war, the NATO-U.S. proxy war with Russia has come to its most dangerous point at this time. Russia has succeeded in its special military operation, securing the east of Ukraine and Crimea. And now because Ukraine is not having elections and now not suing for peace, and NATO has decided to continue on, Russia is expanding and taking even more cities and more towns and talking about encircling Kharkiv and Kiev and then forcing everybody to evacuate and then leveling the place. So that's what happens in these wars if these escalations continue. And NATO has not come to the table with any of the deals that Putin had basically agreed with Trump. So now Trump says that he is going to give them...
Why is he recording this in the mall? I'm sorry, like I know this is and we're gonna get into the China, so he's gonna talk about the China. But like, why is he recording this in the mall? I'm sorry, I have to at least throw that in there. That's super random.
Tomahawk cruise missiles in the next few weeks, he thinks. Russia came out today and said that is absolute war, that is direct war. You do that, we're gonna start targeting NATO targets.
To be clear, I talked over that, sorry. Trump said that he would give Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine, and Russia said, if you do that, we're going to start targeting NATO targets. I don't know, man. People who think that that's impossible should, anything is possible, man. Anything is possible. This is really scary, but nonetheless, I'll let him continue.
This is why there was a threat escalation ladder the RAND Corporation developed in the 50s that has been adopted worldwide. Every government uses it, okay? That's why, remember, Biden said we can't give them F-16s and Abrams tanks. That leads to World War III. Because on the escalation ladder, there's the next escalation, and we're following the exact escalation up into limited nuclear war, total nuclear war, that basically just happens in a few hours once you go in the last few steps of this. So we have such a normalcy bias, though, that everybody just seems like, oh, that's a million miles away. Ukraine might as well be Mars. It's not. China just cut off all rare earth mineral exports to anybody that works for the U.S. They control 95% of it, okay? The globalists allow them to get positions like that. And now China's double-crossed them. This is absolutely out of control. So we're in the new world war, and that's what all the big think tanks have been saying for a couple of years. But now it's official. Okay, you got 100,000 plus North Korean troops in Ukraine war coming. You've got all these different proxy wars going on. This is the new world war. Now the CIA called the Cold War World War III. I agree with that term. This is really World War IV, and it's getting kinetic. It's economic, it's cultural, and it's incredibly dangerous. And NATO did start this. Doesn't mean Russia's perfect. But NATO and the EU are the bad guys. They encircled Russia. They started it. In the case of China, they're the bad guys. They're going into Vietnam, grabbing islands and drilling rigs. They're going into islands around Japan. They're going into the Philippines and stealing islands and ramming people's boats and everything. I mean, they are out of control. They're building huge ports in the Caribbean. They're just taking over. They're trying to push us out of the Panama Canal. So that's the big issue. That's what we should be dealing with, not in this damn thing with Russia. But the EU and the globalists have just absolutely positioned the U.S. for collapse at the end of the dollar, and they're actually working with China. The EU is actually working with China to get us distracted with the Russians off on our flank. Trump knows that, and it's got to stop now. I'll be covering this more today, 4 to 8 p.m. on the Sunday transmission. Please join me then, and please share the live feeds because you have all the power. You are the Paul Revere's. Follow me on Next World Alex Jones, and follow me on the Alex Jones Network channel and Alex Jones channel. There's several on Rumble. God bless and thank you so much. Pray for peace. It's very, very serious. And please take this very, very serious.
Okay, so here's what I want to say about that. The reason that I thought this is so important to show, given all of the stuff that's been going on, I mean, obviously, I've done a heavy amount of coverage on the Charlie Kirk case, and I have also subsequently done a lot of coverage of the rise in violent rhetoric in the United States between the two sides. And when I watch this, like, I can't possibly stress enough how important it is that we chill on the Democrats versus Republicans thing. Like, if everybody doesn't recognize what we all actually want collectively, we all basically want pretty much the same thing. We all want to be able to do what we want to do. We want to have access to the resources that we want to have access to, that we think are important to us. And we want to live in a prosperous society where we're not afraid of violence, that we can relax and do all. I mean, I think that's what everybody wants, right? I mean, like, I know that there are people who have built their ideology around the deep, like, hatred that they have for the other side. But at the end of the day, it's like, listen, okay, if you can't set that down and some of this stuff comes to fruition, we're all finished. Okay. Like, if the dollar stops being the, base currency that we trade, energy on and all that stuff, like, if they really push out the dollar, if they're able to encircle resources and then cut us out, like, that's what China's putting these drastic controls on rare earth mineral exports. Dude, we need that for everything. We need it for AI. We need it for LCD. Like, we need it for literally everything. And they have 95% of it. How we allowed that to happen is absolutely unbelievable to me. I don't, this is not my world, obviously. And if someone was like, hey, what do you think we're doing in Ukraine fighting for that? Is we're trying to make sure that we have access to that. I don't know if that was, at least it would make sense to me. Why this is so important for us to be in there banging with these guys like this. But like, have you guys ever played the game Catan? Okay, Catan, I love the game Catan. My buddy Patrick Gavia, he's another creator on here. He gave that to me as a gift, and he was like, I learned a lot about business playing Catan. In Catan, you need to have, like, there are all these resources all over the board, and you strategically build roads, and then you monopolize. Well, if you're smart, you monopolize. If you can monopolize a single resource, just one. Everybody needs at least what, everybody needs those resources, all of them, at least for something. So if you can ensnare and monopolize one resource, you have everybody by the balls. That is the strategy that I play almost every single time, is I let them fuck around. They're like, oh, I need a big variety. I'm like, nope, I just want to ensnare that one, the way that it's, the way the board's set up. And that's essentially what China's done. I mean, they've also done that in addition to the fact that they manufacture everything. Like, I don't think people really understand how by the balls China really would have us in the event that they wanted to squeeze. They manufacture 95% of our, or whatever, 99% of our pharmaceuticals. They just stop exporting to us. Nukes, they nullify the ability for superpowers to go to war. And so when it comes to trade, like, Trump's like, that's why Trump made that announcement. He's like, well, we'll do 100% tariffs. It's like, bottom line is, everybody needs to stop fighting with each other if we can, because we're all on the same team. Like, if this doesn't make you recognize that we're all on the same team, and I realize, like, sending a video of Alex Jones to the left and being like, listen to Alex Jones, man. is probably pretty ridiculous, but it is important that everybody gets on the same page because like we are all on the same team. Okay. If you're trans and you're 24 and you think that like I'm a Trump supporter, so I hate you, I don't. Okay. I don't have any issue at all with you being trans. None. I support you even being trans as long as you're not making kids trans. That's all we care about. At least the people that think like me is like when there are crazy groomer parents who are virtue signaling to get kids on the, or people where there's this whole pipeline that is incentivizing young kids who are just probably gay, right? They're just gay kids. It's fine to be gay. And then all of a sudden now we see them like all of them are getting on this road to transition because they're confused. We're trying to protect you guys. And then we have this one also, just to reiterate how important it is that we all get on the same page again and stop fighting with each other, okay? Because if this happens, if we get a bunch of suicide bombers who target airplanes, who are targeting airplanes and eliminate 4,000 Americans in one day, okay, coming at churches, coming at neighborhoods, coming at on U.S. soil with all of this complex planning, like we are all on the same team. I promise you, the second this happens, me and everybody else that voted for this guy and everybody who voted for the other guy, we are all on the same team immediately, and everybody will recognize that. Hopefully, that does not need to happen for us to figure that out. Now, watch this, okay?
You had mentioned before that they are coordinating terrorist sleeper cells in America, and they want to do an October 7th style attack. What does that look like? I mean, I don't think they could take people hostage like they did in October the 7th. Is it just a mass casualty situation, or do they think they're going to take land? You know, they're going to take a small town, or, you know, what do you think that's all about?
So what we've seen, at least with the plotting, I'd say there's three pieces. One's a large aviation plot again, and that they're just going to do suicide bombers on planes and drop them down, and that's for mass casualty. The goal is to kill 4,000 people. Then they want something like you said about almost a hostage and hold ground. That seems to be some sort of assault or attack at Washington, D.C., because they want to cripple the federal government's response. And then the last piece, they are going to go into our communities, unfortunately, like it was for October 7th. ISIS is leading that piece, and how they trained is in 5 to 10 man kind of urban assault teams, and they're going to attack like churches, supermarkets, hospitals, and they're going to do multiple locations at a time. So that'll be very difficult for law enforcement. And they're also going to either target law enforcement or look like law enforcement to fool civilians, which they also did that during the October 7th attack. So if it doesn't get thwarted, or pieces of this doesn't get thwarted, this will obviously be probably the biggest attack ever on the U.S. since Pearl Harbor. So it's a very, very scary situation.
Dude, if we know that, why are, like, wherever our source of information is coming from, you'd think we'd be able to act preemptively if we know that much. Nonetheless, to reiterate, okay, if they go into supermarkets and start whacking us out, do you think that they're asking anybody who they voted for? You know what I mean? Like, they're not asking who you voted for. They're like, you're American, you're my enemy. And then suddenly we are all on the same team again. All right, so we're going to get to the Epstein stuff here in a second, and we're going to go over what the big scandal here is. But first, I need to show you a word from our sponsor, Prize Picks, my number one sponsor, my favorite guys in the world. It's NFL time, and that means it's time for you to join Prize Picks. I don't understand what's daily fantasy. I'll explain that later. What you need to know right this second is that if you deposit $5 and put it in play, they will guarantee give you a free $50 regardless of whether or not you win with that $5 entry fee. Wait, I deposit $5 and I get $50 back regardless of whether I win. Yes, that's correct. So that'd be a 10x return guaranteed. Yeah, that's correct. So who wouldn't do that? I don't know, man. You tell me. Everybody is doing it. So tell us what else we get aside from $50 free. Well, you get to play the best daily fantasy game on the entire internet. Talk to me like a child and explain to me how to play. Prize Picks could not make this game more simple. You're going to pick which sport you want to play, and then you're going to start picking players that you're going to add to your roster. Then we're going to decide whether they're going to get more or less than the stat line provided by Prize Picks. We're going Shedeur Sanders, and we're going more because we are eternal optimists. Let's say you want to start small and you put $5 in play on your first roster. You can win up to $187.50. But if you're a big baller and you want to put, let's say, $50 in play, you can win up to $1,875. But let's say you are a big wallet gangster and you want to put $500 into a single roster. You can win up to $18,750 if all of your players deliver. Now, we also got some new features coming in with this new football season, and you're going to be able to play the same player up to 3 times with 3 different stat lines if you want. It's already live on Major League Baseball and WNBA. When you go to Prize Picks, you use the link in the description and you sign up and you use promo code JesseOnFire, you are going to get a free $50 once you put $5 in play. Use the link in the description, sign up using promo code JesseOnFire, put in $5 in play, and get your free $50 back. That's a 10x return. You are welcome. I love all of you guys. Let's go. All right, so let's take a look now at the Epstein stuff that I was referencing. Okay, so all of this started when I saw this. Okay, so Eric Swalwell, not a very credible source, but Republicans planning a jailbreak revolt over the Epstein files. And the indication was that there was about to be a bomb that was going to drop, okay? And this came here, so it's like, it's coming to an end, guys. I've spoken to a lot of House Republicans this week, and they've confided that Trump's movement support is fading. The Epstein bomb is about to drop, and no one wants to defend a pedo protector. It's just a matter of time, Swalwell said in a thread on social media platform X, which is absolutely hilarious. Like, I can't get enough of the episode here where they are pretending that they are now the party that cares about kids. You're like, you have to be joking, dude. If Trump said that he stood for human beings breathing, they would just hold their breath until they died. It's hilarious. And by the way, speaking of protecting those people, right? I want to show you guys something real quick, okay? Because I am, here you go. This right here. Oops. Okay. This video right here. Okay. The Definitive Guide to Pizza and Gates, Part 1 on Coop. This is one of the best Pizzagate videos I've ever seen. Like, he crushes. I mean, if you're going to do a single one, obviously Mouthy Buddha has covered this extensively, but if you're going to just do one video, okay, go to Coop and watch this because he killed it. And again, this is one of those ones where if you watch this and you are like, oh yeah, there's nothing there, dude. Like, doesn't seem like there's much there to look at. It's like, are you out of your mind? Did you see the part about Tony Podesta's art collection? You know, what on earth are you talking about, dude? So take a look at that and then keep that in mind as, you know, you take a look at like, oh, the pedo protectors. It's like, okay, guys. Anyway, so that is where this all started. Okay. Now also, you know, within the last recent, however long, you got this thing that came from Michael Wolff, was talking about these hours of audio that he had recorded talking to Jeffrey Epstein, who claimed that he was Donald Trump's best friend for 10 years and blah, blah, blah. And all that really indicates to me, because, you know, Jeffrey Epstein is not like a good source of information that I would trust anything from, which is why I'm not even going to get into any of this stuff. But what you can know is that clearly everybody knows they were friends. And all that indicates to me, right, is that maybe there would be something that Israel could lean on Trump about, right? Because over here, you're like, okay, so like, and again, the reason why all of this is relevant is because at the end of this thing, all of a sudden, like the day after that, we announced the Israel Palestine peace deal. Okay, so like anything that you could kind of see in the mainstream media, it's like, there's a new, you know, look at, oh, there's a bomb about to drop. And then suddenly you have this thing, right? Watch this.
Ever before been seen publicly. Scott McFarland joins us now from Washington with more on this. Scott, what's in the photos? Good morning.
Hey, Tony, good morning. The photos were taken by New York's Office of Chief Medical Examiner, and they raise more questions than they answer. Epstein's body was removed before investigators arrived, and Epstein's cell, experts say, should have been treated as a crime scene, and by all appearances, it was not.
On the morning of August 10th, 2019, convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein was found dead at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Lower Manhattan. This was the vow of then Attorney General Bill Barr.
We will get to the bottom of what happened, and there will be accountability.
Epstein's death was quickly ruled a suicide. But an investigation of jail cell photos by CBS News, working with forensic experts, has raised serious questions about the New York Medical Examiner and the FBI's work, including a failure to preserve the scene, log evidence, and run basic forensic tests. There are 90 photos in all, showing a cell strewn with blankets and strips of fabric tied to the bed and window grate. Items moved around, including a mattress, which is seen on the floor in an earlier photo, but appears on the bed in a later one. Looking at the metadata, that second photo appears to have been taken at 11:02 a.m. If that's accurate, the scene had been disturbed hours before FBI investigators arrived. Investigators also found several possible nooses, but did not conclusively identify the one that killed him.
What do you make of all these pictures?
What, dude? Like, this is what I'm saying. Where would this have come from? You understand that there had been a moratorium on anything in the media relating to Jeffrey Epstein, period. And like a moratorium that reached all the way to the administration, where they're like, we're done with this thing, man. We're done. And then now we're like, oh, by the way, here are the crime scene photos. And clearly it was disturbed and intentionally staged. Like, you understand that's what that means, right? Like, if you have photographs taken like right now, and then before the investigators get there, the FBI gets there, everything is in different spots. Okay, that's staging the crime scene. There's no, I mean, like, why else would you be moving stuff around? You think these guys don't know that Jeffrey Epstein is a high value inmate, that people are going to be very interested in understanding what had happened there? You know what I mean? Like, this is not normal by any stretch of the imagination. You know what I mean? Where is this cut? Like, where is all of this coming from? Why are they investigating this now?
I make a crime scene gone wrong.
Herman Weisberg is a former NYPD detective turned private investigator.
Does it look to you like this was investigated as a suicide or as a murder?
To me, this looks like they took it at face value that this was a suicide.
While our investigation did not contradict the official determination of suicide, it does raise questions about what was done to rule out the possibility of murder.
If you realize that you've got a high-profile person that may or may not have committed suicide, but you need to prove that to people, this is not adequate as far as I'm concerned.
We've reached out to the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner, as well as former and current staff involved in the investigation, the FBI and the Department of Justice. All declined to comment, or Tony simply did not respond.
Yeah, so pretty weird. Now, we're about to take a look at the Ghislaine Maxwell stuff, but I saw this. Someone sent this to me, and I wanted to play this for you guys. This was someone recording Trump on the way to Israel, okay? Why is someone recording him on the way to Israel, and then all of a sudden this gets released? This is what I'm saying. Like, it seems like someone was leaning on him, dude, okay? And this is the best they got. Listen to this, okay?
A little cute. I don't think there's anything going to get me in heaven, okay? I really don't. I think I'm not maybe heaven bound. I may be in heaven right now as we fly in Air Force One. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to make heaven. But I've made life a lot better for a lot of people. And, you know, as an example, had the election of 2020 not been rigged, you would have millions of people living just in Russia, Ukraine alone. That would have never happened. And it didn't happen for 4 years. A little cute.
Now, where did that audio come from? And by the way, I disagree with him. I disagree with him, dude. I think he's going to be all right, man. Listen, a life of debauchery weighed up against, you know, the amount of work that he's done to actually genuinely help people, which I believe he is doing. I realize, I know, guys, I know leftists is like, yeah, right, he only cares about himself. Well, I disagree with you, dude, you know, but nonetheless, my question is like, how does this get out? How does this get out? You know? And I mean, this is Nick Sorter. This looks like it's from the White House. It says the White House, audio only. That's so bizarre, man. That is very bizarre. Anyway, I just thought that was interesting. But now, oh, by the way, and then, of course, Prince Andrew, just who cares about Prince Andrew? But after he said that he had cut ties from Jeffrey Epstein, turns out that they found another message from him, and he's like, oh, we'll play again soon. We're going to play again soon. Jeffrey Epstein, bring me some of those teenage girls. Creep. Okay, now, let's go and take a look at this Ghislaine Maxwell thing too, right? So mystery visitors plunged Ghislaine Maxwell's Texas prison camp into lockdown as inmates complain of preferential treatment, report says. Maxwell had a mysterious meeting in the prison's chapel that prevented other inmates from getting their outdoor time. I don't know what that means, dude. Ghislaine Maxwell's unexpected arrival at a cushy Texas prison in... You don't usually hear those words together, cushy and Texas prison. This August has left other inmates unsettled, with some claiming that she seems to be getting preferential treatment. On a weekend in mid-August, not long after arrival, inmates at the prison were forced to stay indoors during their usual outdoor time as Maxwell met with several visitors in the prison camp's chapel. People familiar with the matter told the Wall Street Journal. The arrival of the 63-year-old former Jeffrey Epstein associate, who was convicted in 2021 of trafficking underage girls by the financier, has led to more frequent lockdowns, more armed guards on campus, and other changes at the prison, according to the report. That's interesting because usually, when pedophiles end up in prison, they get just whacked by the prison inmates. But apparently, if you are a prolific one of those who is collecting blackmail for nation states, you get treated like this. Current and former inmates at the usually docile prison, also home to Theranos founder Elizabeth Holmes, seemed as though Maxwell had been receiving better treatment than other inmates. I wonder who she's meeting with, man. I wonder who she is meeting with, dude. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't think this necessarily connects to the rest of this case, but at the end of the day, dude, what I honestly think that I am being, like, what I'm trying to communicate is that I think that Israel did not want to do this peace deal. And at the end of the day, they were like flailing, not wanting to do it. And I think that, listen, dude, who knows how this connects to the Charlie Kirk case? At the end of the day, like, all of a sudden there's all this stuff going on with the Israeli donors. And then you have pressure being put on them to make a peace deal. Suddenly you have all of this stuff coming out about Jeffrey Epstein. And then all of a sudden we have a peace deal that gets put in place. I mean, I think that is very likely to have been somebody flailing, like, we're not doing this, and stop putting pressure on us to do this. Because otherwise, guess what's going to happen? They were just like, do it then. Go ahead and do it. Because what happens at that point? You know what I mean? They put that out. It's like, okay, well, you shot your shot. Now you have no control. So it was always a bluff. Like, it was always a bluff. Anyway, that's what I got.